Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years.
Maybe you've felt this at low speeds every now and then, sometimes in a parking lot or coming to a stop sign. The anti-lock brakes will engage when the brake pedal is pushed. You might hear the ABS pump groan from under the truck, just below the driver's seat. When the ABS pump is pumping, the brake pedal feel becomes soft and goes down lower than usual. When the brake pedal is about 3/4 of the way to the floor, it begins to pump itself back up, and the pedal pressure pushes against your foot pressure. The brake pedal goes from normal to soft to rock solid within about 2 to 3 seconds. The problem comes from rust buildup on the front knuckles, which pushes the ABS wheel speed sensor away from the tone ring on the axle, giving a false signal to engage ABS.
We need to remove the center cap to the wheel so we can loosen the lug nuts with the vehicle on the ground. I'm going to use this 21mm socket. These shouldn't be on here too tight. These are just plastic caps that thread onto the actual lug nuts. You should be able to break these free by hand. If not, you might have to put a small wrench on here, but these come off pretty easily. They won't screw all the way off. You just loosen them up. They stay captured in the cap. Just go around the edge, grab them all. And the cap will come right off. The lug nuts are a 22mm socket. I'm going to use that on the end of a breaker bar. We'll loosen these up while the vehicle's on the ground. This way the wheel doesn't turn on me. And then I can raise and support it and take the wheel off. Give them a couple turns to loosen them up. Now I'll raise and support the vehicle. I'm going to take the lug nuts off and remove the wheel and tire. Take the wheel off, put it aside. The ABS is being triggered because of a rust buildup where the sensor mounts inside of the steering knuckle. Unfortunately, the way this is set up, the ABS wheel speed sensor is inside of this dust shield and on the inside of the rotor. So we're going to have to remove the caliper and the rotor to get to it. We'll clean it up and reinstall it. You should do this for both sides because you really won't know which side is causing the problem. And the procedure will be the same for both, but that should fix that weird ABS engagement at low speed for you. I'm going to use an 18mm socket and a breaker bar. I'm going to loosen the bottom caliper mounting bolt, and then I'll loosen the top one. And I'm not going to loosen the slide pins. I'm going to remove the whole caliper as one piece and hang it. I'm going to turn this a little bit. Give myself some more clearance. There we go. Once they're broken free, switch to a ratchet. I'm just going to hold on to the caliper so it doesn't drop. So this rotor is pretty loose. I don't want it to fall. So I'm going to take a lug nut and just thread it on there lightly. And it'll keep the rotor from falling off until I'm ready to remove it. And slide the caliper off the rotor. I'll put it up top here. Take a bungee cord, just wrap around it, and just so it doesn't fall off. Take this lug nut off. So we'll pull the rotor off. We're lucky this hub has been replaced, so it comes off pretty easily. If not, you may need to spray some rust penetrant in here and hit this rotor off. But we got lucky, this one came off. I'm going to spray some rust penetrant in here. There's an Allen bolt, 6mm, and a lot of dirt buildup in here. But what's happening is the surface that this ABS sensor sits on, right here in this plane, gets rusty, and it pushes it away from the tone ring inside and gives that weird ABS false sort of signal at low speed. So we're going to carefully remove it. So I'm using a 6mm Allen socket on my ratchet. And I broke it free. And I'll put the bolt aside so I can reuse it. And then I'm going to try to wiggle this out. with my fingers. So that actually came out nice and easy. I'm going to take some needle nose pliers and squeeze this clip in because I want to give myself a little more wire to play with. So we'll just push this out. And now I've got some more wire to work with. And we'll feed this out of here so I can lift it up and out. And there's a little gasket here. And of course this is magnetic, that's how it works. I'm going to clean all that up afterwards. Let me just slide it out of the way here. And I'll put this gasket aside so I don't lose it. I'm going to spray some brake parts cleaner in here and clean it up. I'll wipe away any dirt and grease. I'm going to use some emery cloth and clean up the top. This one's not in too bad a shape because I think this hub is fairly new. You may need to use a file, and if you use a file, you want to make sure it stays nice and flat. You don't want to put a gouge in this or make it crooked or curved. As long as it's sitting nice and flat, the ABS wheel speed sensor should work correctly. So I'm just gonna use a file and keep it nice and flat. Just clean the rust off. Spray some more brake parts cleaner in there. You can use rusty metal primer, any type of spray paint really. We just happen to have some red spray paint. We're going to use that. Just put a thin coat over this. It just helps prevent it from flash rusting again. That's it. I'm going to clean this plate that came with the sensor with some emery cloth. Just make sure it's nice and clean. It doesn't have any rust on it. I'm doing it on a flat surface. I want to keep it nice and flat. Do both sides. I'm going to wipe all the grease off of the sensor. Make sure it's nice and clean, because even a little bit of grease can hold it up. And wipe off any metal that's stuck to the magnet. A bit of like silicone sealer on here. I want to peel that off. I'll just use a pick to get that off. One thing to look for is you want to make sure that this sensor is nice and flat, like that one is. If it's got any little bit of a curve to it, you know, if this hub had been more rusty, it could have pushed the plastic and bent it up, and it's not making good contact towards the relector wheel. So in that case, you need to replace the sensor. This one looks like it's in good shape. It's nice and flat. I'll just check the other side. Yep, looks pretty good. There's some stuff stuck on there. I'm gonna clean that off. Let's clean it off with some brake parts cleaner. Reinstall a little metal washer. Oh, don't forget, it's gonna go through the opening. Put it down into place. I have to turn it a little bit. Push it down in. Sure it's nice and flat. Reinstall the little Allen bolt. I'll tighten it back up. You don't have to go super tight, you don't want to kill it. If you feel it get tight, then you just stop. Looks good. Push this clip back in. Reinstall the rotor. I'm going to put a lug nut on here so it doesn't fall off on me. Take some brake parts cleaner, any greasy handprints I got on here. Just clean them off. Undo the bungee cord. Make sure I take it out of here. Reinstall the caliper. I'll turn it out so I can get to it. Slide it up into place. Get the bottom one caught. Whoops. I have to wiggle it around a little bit. Run these down. We're going to torque these caliper mounting bolts to 133 foot-pounds. Once it clicks, you're all set. This side's complete. We're going to do the other side. It's the same exact procedure, and we'll clean that up too. I'm going to remove the lug nut I used to hold the rotor in place. Don't forget to do that. You'll have a heck of a time trying to put the wheel on if you've got a lug nut already on there. Get our lug nuts all started by hand. Use the ratchet to snug these up. I'm not going to fully tighten them because I will torque it with the vehicle on the ground. We're going to torque the lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds in a cross pattern. Reinstall the wheel cover, line it up to the lugs, and take that socket and just thread them on by hand. They'll thread down and lock in place. And this side is complete.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at oneauto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.